What a headshot! What a head!
How's it, guys? This is Dayvy, FPL, and welcome back to the Fantasy Premier League video here on my channel. Now in this video, I'll be going through the ultimate guide to the upcoming Game Week 30. So Game Week 30 is quite an interesting game week in this FPL season if you, like myself, looking to activate the wildcard chip. But if not, you probably just come off the back of a pretty disappointing free hit in Game Week 29 and are hoping to take advantage of the upcoming double game weeks. So very kind of interesting places that us FPL managers are differing places, but don't worry, in this ultimate guide I'll be addressing all situations. So the first talking point is going to be the stats review as usual. On a wild card, I want to see what teams are in form or out of form from an attacking and a defensive point of view. Then I'm going to jump straight into all the game week schedule goodness. We now know the double game weeks, the blank game weeks, and I'm going to showcase what I would do depending on what chips I have. Then the final talking point is going to be all about CAMI, and this week I think there's very kind of viable options, 3 to be exact. So I'll be going through who my favorites and who the best option should be. So if that's something you guys are interested in, sit back, relax, and let's get straight into it. So the first talking point, as always in these ultimate guides, is going to be the stats review. Now I'll be going over the attacking numbers and the defensive numbers over the entire season and the last 6 game weeks at a minimum to show which teams are in form or out of form. So let's go over the attacking numbers first. Over the entire season, you guys can see on the left hand side, Liverpool at the top there with 2.08, followed closely by Man City and Arsenal. We then have Newcastle, Spurs and Aston Villa, and all of these kind of 6 teams are quite predictable as they've had really strong Premier League seasons. Now on a wild card, I'm looking to kind of pick up some Liverpool assets, a Mo Salah, a Darwin Núñez. Man City assets will come late in alongside Erling Haaland, and Saka's quite hard to ignore. Now luckily enough, Newcastle, a lot of us are going for someone like an Isaac in our striker department, and the Spurs assets are quite popular with the upcoming double game weeks. The only worrying team for me is going to be Aston Villa. Currently own Bailey and Watkins, but on a wild card, I'll probably be dropping both of them, and that might actually be a mistake. Now on the right hand side, these are the worst teams from an attacking point of view over the entire seasons, so target defenses that are playing them. So at the top there, Sheffield United, quite predictable, definitely one of the worst attacks at the moment, followed closely by Burnley, who played Chelsea in Game Week 30. So if I do choose to wildcard, Petrovic and Gusto will be a mainstay on that wildcard draft, so fingers crossed both them start against Burnley. Other than them though, Crystal Palace, Nottingham Forest, Luton and finally Wolves, and I'm dropping Pau Torres who faces Wolves, which might be a clean sheet. Otherwise, Luton, as you guys know, plays Spurs this week, Arsenal next week, so a defender from both those teams might be quite wise. Now just a reminder, this is going to be the attacking numbers per 90 minutes over the entire season, and the stat of choice is XG non-penalty. But now let's go over the last 6 game weeks at a minimum. The reason I'm saying minimum is with the blanks and the doubles, some teams have played more games, some teams have played less games, with the lowest team, Chelsea, being the limiting factor. So on the left hand side, the most informed attack at the moment is going to be Liverpool, followed by Arsenal, Man City, Spurs, Aston Villa and finally United, so quite representative of the all-season numbers. Now United, the only new entry here at 6th with 1.89 XG non-penalty per game, so I want to pick up one of their attackers for the future game weeks. Now on the right hand side, we've seen some switch up, but Sheffield United unfortunately at the top yet again, followed by Crystal Palace, Burnley, West Ham, Wolves and finally Nottingham Forest. It's a little bit of a switch up here, but with West Ham obviously facing Newcastle, that could be a clean sheet, as their attacking numbers this season haven't been that great. Fingers crossed yet again for Burnley, but Aston Villa might also keep a clean sheet, so plenty of wildcard choices to make. But I think also is kind of telling me is that I do need to go for the Liverpool assets on my wildcard, with some reinforcements from Arsenal, Man City and Spurs. Now we're going to go over the defensive numbers, and I'll be going over 2 different stats. The first stat for the best defense will be expected clean sheets, also per 90 minutes. Now no surprises here, Arsenal definitely have the best defense this Premier League season, followed closely by Man City, then a drop off to Liverpool. Now the surprise entry is Nottingham Forest, Brighton as well as Chelsea, as I wasn't predicting these defenses to be quite strong. Now on a wildcard yet again, looking at those Chelsea assets, so these numbers are quite pleasing. Now the one thing I want to point out here is the fact that Brighton's defense has actually improved this season, and yes, they are actually facing Mo Salah this week, who might be a CAMI option. So is that Brighton game harder than people are saying for Liverpool? That's yet to be seen, but Liverpool's attack is always going to be pretty strong. On the right hand side, I've switched the stat up. This is going to be XG conceded per 90 minutes as well, and Luton at the top with 2.28. So once again, another kind of CAMI option, Heung-min Son facing Luton. So on paper, this fixture is actually the easiest. We then have Sheffield United, West Ham, Fulham, Burnley and Wolves. If you guys are going for a Newcastle asset, West Ham's defense isn't that strong, and the rest of the teams should also be targeted. So once again, the reason I'm going for this kind of different stat is if they are going to lose a clean sheet, I want to see by how far or how many goals they're conceding per game. So definitely some food for thought here, with Brighton being one of the top 6 defenses and Luton being the worst. Has that kind of changed your mind on the CAMI Debate? But now let's go over to the last 6 games. At a minimum, if any shake-up has happened, Arsenal yet again at top with a massive 0.63, so their defense just gets better and better. Then once again, Man City, Brighton, Nottingham Forest, finally Crystal Palace and Liverpool. So Brighton once again showing the power of their defense. Otherwise, Liverpool also on a wildcard, maybe looking at Bradley or Kelleher. Nice to see that they have improved, with some surprise entries here from Crystal Palace and Nottingham Forest. Then the right-hand side, nothing much has changed. We've got Luton and Sheffield United at the top, once again reinforcing the fact that Luton's defense is pretty terrible. And they're followed by Brentford, Wolves, Man United and Aston Villa. Now if you guys have seen my wildcard draft, you'll know that I currently have Onana, a surprise entry, and 2.03 is giving me kind of flashbacks to Areola between the sticks. They have had some tougher games though, I guess against Liverpool, so that might be the case, as well as Aston Villa recently. Now the worrying factor here is going to be I'm selling Ollie Watkins and Leon Bailey before they've played Wolves, who have conceded 2.08 over the last 6 to 8 weeks, which does make me quite nervous about dropping them. But I guess you can't have them all in FPL at the end of the day, but this stats review has made me a little bit nervous. Once again, if you guys do want to go over these stats, go over to Fantasy Football Fix, go check them out. They've got all the stats on their Opta sandbox, and that's where all my stats have come from. Now the next talking point is going to be the game week schedule. Now I've gone over this in quite a lot of depth in my wildcard review and my double game week announcement, so I'll just be running through some talking points to go over. So the graphic once again I'll be using is going to be from Ben Krellin. They have a reliable kind of asset over on Twitter, and this is the game week schedule from game week 30 to game week 38. So if you guys don't know, game week 34's doubles have been confirmed, therefore game week 37's doubles have also basically been confirmed, with an announcement still about the game week 35 or 36 double for Chelsea and Spurs. So if you guys are looking to target some teams from now to the end of the season, definitely Spurs and Chelsea should be at the top of your list, as they're the most amount of doubles coming up. Just be careful though about that Spurs blank, you don't want to miss that, but if you are free in game week 34, you don't have to worry. Now depending on your guys' chip strategy, you're going to use the chips differently. If you guys are going to wildcard in game week 35, don't have a free hit, you're probably dead ending into game week 34, which is a viable strategy. If you guys have the free hit, the bench boost, and also the wildcard, you like myself, wildcard in game week 30 or game week 31, and those are basically the two main strategies. Now one thing I want to address is that you guys can bench boost in game week 34 if you guys want to, but otherwise the two previous strategies are perfectly fine. Now if you guys are looking for some cheap options to get in, depending on when you guys are wildcarding or free hitting, those teams might be different, but the biggest thing to note and take care of is the doubles in 34 and 37 are for completely different teams. So let's just say that you guys don't have a free hit and only a wildcard, you want to get the best of both worlds, and I would just target the strong doubles in 34 and 37 and ignore the rest. You guys will have some free transfers before 37 to also prepare for it, but I'd load up on this Chelsea and Spurs assets as soon as possible. Teams I want to shout out if you want to go for some cheap options, I like Everton as well as Brighton. Even though Everton have a single game week in 37, it's against Sheffield United at home. Please also take note of game week 38's fixtures because you might not have a lot of free transfers to prepare for that, as you're probably going to be focusing on game week 37's doubles. Another graphic I want to showcase is going to be from Mikkel Tokvam, also you guys can find him over on Twitter. I just like this graphic slightly more, as it showcases each fixture as a number. So between 0 and 1 is going to be the chance of a blank game week, a dash or a 0 is a confirmed blank, a 1 is a confirmed single game week, between 1 and 2 is the chance of a double game week, and a 2 is a confirmed double. So as you guys can see, we've got some double game weeks in 34, 37, as well as a chance of a double in 35 and 36. And on the right hand side, this is going to be for the short term and the long term approach. So the teams that have a lot of fixtures, you guys can target them in the second last column, whereas the end of season metric is the far right. So what I would do is use this graphic to target the teams, then use Ben Krellin to target the fixtures, and using these two images, you should get the perfect kind of strategy for your team in terms of transfers. But as mentioned in the wildcard draft, I went over this in a lot more depth, so go check that video out if you guys haven't. Now the last talking point I just want to go over is going to be all about the CAMI Debate, and this week, game week 30, it's super integral as there are a few options. So you guys can go differential if you want to. I believe the CAMI will be quite split this week, but here are my 3 favorites. So the first option is going to be Heung-min Son. As mentioned, Luton have the worst defense in the Premier League, and Fix is projecting 5.3 points. So that Luton at home game should be targeted, but if you guys do have a double up with the Maddison and a Richarlison, you can either put all your eggs in one basket with the CAMI, or you might look for another option. If you are doing that, Mo Salah might be an enticing one against Brighton at home, as you would have seen that Brighton defense has improved though, but Fix is still projecting 7.6. So massive difference between Son and Salah here. Fix is definitely having a favorite, and that's even more than Palmer, who's scoring 3.4. I know what you guys are saying, that's probably quite low. Yes, I do agree with you, but I think it's the yellow flag that he currently is carrying. And once that goes away, I feel like the projection will go up. I do believe he should be fine though, but just watch out for that press conference coming up this week. Because if he does feature against Burnley at home, I feel like he could be an outside punt for the CAMI Debate. So between these three, I don't think you guys can go wrong, to be honest. My favorite is currently going to be Heung-min Son because of that stats review. I simply can't ignore that Luton at home game. I do believe Salah will have a healthy CAMI to him if you guys do want to look at him. Otherwise, with Palmer, don't let that price sway you. So as mentioned, all three of these could absolutely bang. Let me know in the comments down below who you guys are choosing. But this is basically a wrap for the video, guys. Hopefully you guys did enjoy it. Please don't forget to like if you did and subscribe if you have subscribed yet. Team selection or final wildcard draft coming up shortly. But for the time being, I'm signing off. It's been Dayvy FPL and I'm out. Cheers, bye.